So about a year ago, I used to work as a server at an Asian assisted living facility, and I was the only white guy there. I was the lone cracker floating in a sea of soy sauce. So what was interesting about this place was that there were two separate menus and two separate kitchens. So they had one kitchen that was strictly dedicated to cooking the Asian menu items, and then the other kitchen was strictly dedicated to cooking the Western items. Western items being a polite euphemism for white people food. So the Asian menu had things like, braised pork belly, bitter melon, steamed fish, beef noodle soup, etc. And the white people menu was mostly waffles and hamburgers. When I first started working there, I got my first peek at the Asian side of the kitchen, and it was like walking into a Shanghai street market. It was filled with all of these exotic ingredients that my Western blue eyes had never seen before. There are all these mysterious yellow powders and vegetables that I didn't even know existed on planet Earth, with a variety of like sprouts and peppers and seeds and pods and ground up rhino horn and tiger penis. Like, I don't know what these things are, right? I'd never seen anything like these before. But one time I walked back into the Asian side of the kitchen and I saw that the chef had filled up an entire sink with dozens and dozens of chicken feet on ice. And it stopped me in my tracks because it looked exactly like something straight out of Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment or something. Like, I was horrified. And yes, I called the police. I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to react. I was freaked out by seeing all these chicken feet. It looked like a crime scene. But in retrospect, that was my bad. I should have known better. But while I was working there, I was also introduced to a Chinese delicacy called a 1,000-year egg. And for all of you Caucasians listening to this, let me explain it to you. It's basically a preserved egg that sits in this mixture of clay, ash, and quicklime for several months, which after watching several seasons of The Sopranos, I'm pretty sure that's the same procedure that they use to dispose of a dead body. So after several months, they take this egg out of its quicklime slurry, and it ends up looking like the cloudy eyeball of a corpse, right? It's repulsive. It smells like ammonia, and it turns into this like dark green and black, creamy color with the yolk turning into this translucent, like brown jelly. I mean, the whole thing ends up looking like decaying flesh after being bitten by a brown recluse spider, okay? I can't imagine the guy that invented this, right? Seeing this delicacy, this foul, rancid, discolored egg, and then thinking, you know what? I think I'm going to toss this on my salad for lunch today. Hello, Misfits. Welcome back to the cult. Good to see you again. Before we dive into today's topic, which is manifestation, I've kind of got some new epiphanies on the topic of manifesting that I want to talk about with you guys today. But first, I want to talk about the thumbs down video that I just recently posted. I talked about how I've been getting one random thumbs down on all my YouTube videos, and I made a little clip about it. And the response was overwhelming. I have never gotten so many thumbs down on any video before in my life. I got a cascade of thumbs down on that video on YouTube. So cheers. The internet, you did not let me down on that. So you secretly let me know that you're watching with all the thumbs down, and I'll take it. Thumbs down or thumbs up, you're still watching my content. So I appreciate all of the new subscribers that I got from that video that I posted, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So I just thought it was hilarious. It made me laugh. I feel like an older version of myself would have been quite hurt and offended by all the thumbs down, like, why does nobody like me, and am I not good enough, and blah blah blah. And I'm glad that I'm at a place now where I can just sort of laugh about it and realize, like, that's how the internet works, and to just take it in stride and realize that I'm going to keep on keeping on. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed that video, and if you didn't enjoy the video, that's okay as well. Like, to each their own. But I've been thinking a lot about manifesting lately, and I haven't talked about it in a while. And just to bring those of you up to speed who don't know my story, I sort of all these spiritual new age things, I like to kind of test them out and try them out and see if they work, if they don't work, and what's the whole deal with this manifesting thing? The idea of manifesting things into our reality with just the power of our thoughts and our mind, right? That we can manifest anything. And so I tried it out and I was quite successful. I manifested several things that were very obviously manifested that I focused on. I wanted to manifest a couple of bicycles for my boys, and a week later, I got two bikes for free out of nowhere. I wanted to just random stuff, right? I wanted to manifest some firewood in the wintertime, and somebody from my family randomly called me and offered me some free firewood a few days later. So just little things like this from testing it out. And I'm like, there's something to this. So I've been thinking a lot about it lately because there are certain things I'm trying to manifest in my life, big things, right? And that I've been working on manifesting these things for years. And I started thinking about what the ego's role is in this whole manifesting thing, right? The mind's role in manifesting versus the divine's role in manifesting these things in my life. Like, who's really responsible for manifesting these things? And I started realizing that when these things manifest in my life, I tend to take credit for it, right? Like, ooh, I did a real good job manifesting. I'm a master manifester, right? But then I realized that's not giving any credit to the divine and God's role in this whole thing and the universe's role in manifesting these things in my life. And I started realizing that in many ways, my ego is stepping in and trying to take credit for this, right? I also believe that, well, I shouldn't say I believe, I question free will in this whole thing, right? And how much destiny plays a role in my life, right? These big events in my life, marriages and jobs and having kids and these sort of tent pole events in our life. I question how much of it is free will and how much of it was predetermined. And then I start questioning things like in the manifesting process, what made me want to manifest X, Y, or Z? What made me want to try to manifest this big thing in my life that I'm trying to manifest, or manifest the firewood or the bicycle or whatever, right? Where did that thought come from? Right. And my ego, my mind would try to tell me, like, oh, I thought of that. I'm a free will human being. I come up with it myself. But as many artists and musicians will tell you when they're dreaming up a new song lyric, it just comes to you, right? Whether it's the muse that's planting that seed in your little mind, or God or the universe or your own spirit or soul. Nobody knows, right? And so who gave me the idea that I want to even manifest this thing in the first place? And then who led me in that direction? Who opened those doors along the way? My mind would like to take credit for all of it. My ego would like to take credit for all of it. The manifesting process includes, visualizations and, believing it and using your mind to try real hard to visualize it and creating a vision board that you look at every day for X amount of hours every week and try to real hard to, brain your way through it and make it pop into your reality, right? I gotta have gratitude. I gotta do the checklist. I gotta do all the things. I gotta do inspired actions when God tells me to go this way or that way, right? It's all me doing all the things. But I'm questioning all of that, right? Because it sounds a lot like my mind. It smells like my ego when I start to think about it, right? The ancient wisdom tells us to be the observer, but I'm not being the observer if I'm actively trying to manifest something, trying to grapple with it and wrap my mind around it and focus, focus, focus and do all the things correctly, right? Trying to control the narrative, trying to control it happening, trying to be the main character in my little story, right? And that's all ego. That's all ego. I'm not just being the observer if I'm trying to control it the whole time, rather than just letting my life unfold, as the Eastern philosophies talk about, right? Just watching it unfold, not trying to control the unfolding, not trying to kick doors open, not trying to concentrate hard enough, right? It's about accepting what comes. That's what the wisdom says. The wisdom says to accept it all, not to try to force it, not to try to grip it as hard as you can and wrap your puny little mind around it. Because even in the Bible, it says loosely, thy will be done, not my own, right? So if I want God's will to be done in my life and not my own, then I need to relinquish control. I need to admit that he is in charge of whatever's going on around here in my life. Because I started questioning manifestations in my own life. For years, I've been talking about manifesting a winning lottery ticket as just sort of a proof of concept that this whole thing works. And then I started asking myself recently, like, let's say that I do win the lottery. Who is responsible for that? My mind or my ego would claim responsibility for that manifestation. I manifested that. I've been working on it for years. I finally did it. I did it. I did it. And it leaves no room for miracles. It leaves no room for the divine's role in my life, right? And perhaps it's not all one or the other. It's not black and white. It's probably a bit of both. Me taking inspired actions when God or the universe leads me in one direction or another, walking through the doors that open in my life, being at peace with the doors that close in my life as a part of this manifestation process. But who's responsible for that ultimately? And I think the answer is God, right? And I don't want to take credit for these manifestations because God is the one that I believe planted that seed in the first place. And then when the ego gets involved, it starts to get ugly and sticky, right? Because then if the thing that I want to manifest isn't manifesting, it's not happening quickly enough, then my mind steps in again and starts telling me that I've screwed it all up, right? That I'm doing it wrong. I must have missed a step, that like I didn't gratitude hard enough, right? Like I wasn't aligned, right? I'm obviously imbalanced. That's why there's a problem here. That's why it hasn't manifested yet. It's all your fault, dummy. Right? I'm not worthy of this thing. Obviously, I'm not good enough in God's eyes. Otherwise, it would have manifested. That's the trap that I'm walking into. And I'm taking a step back and realizing that that's perhaps not how this manifesting game works. Just sort of reassessing how this whole manifestation thing works. And perhaps rather than just calling it manifestation, why don't we just call it a miracle? I think that it involves miraculous activities that I don't think I'm perhaps whipping up here, right? Perhaps with my heart, perhaps with the divinity that flows through this 3D being that I call Matt, right? But I just question things. I always like to question things. And so I don't have the answers, and I don't think I ever will. But perhaps it'll make you think about manifesting in a different light today. And when that thing does manifest in my life, I want to give thanks. I don't want to claim credit for it. I don't want to have that in my heart. And so, thy will be done, not my own. Love you.